What's going on, guys? It's Groove, back with another one from Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. Now, in this video right here, we're probably going to be going over the best chapter in the entire book, how to get whatever you want in your life. So let's jump into it. And once again, if this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, or at least a like. You can do that for me, right? All right, so let's jump in. So, how do you get whatever you want in life? You need to ask yourself questions. You need to ask yourself, what do you want out of life? And that may seem self-explanatory, like, okay, yeah, like, what are you talking about? Human beings are programmed. We are brainwashed. And it's not always just the bad brainwashing that you may think of, like MK Ultra, brainwashing somebody to do something bad. We are brainwashed from birth, by our parents, by our friends, by our school teachers. And you never hear anybody sit there and say, hey, what is it that you want out of life? So you have to ask yourself, what do you want out of life? You got to ask yourself these questions. It's funny, I've been seeing all these videos recently of, oh, I'm 45 and broke. I'm 55 or I'm 60 years old and I woke up and I just lost my job and I'm broke. What the heck happened? And it's like, how do you make it to 60 years old and you don't know what the heck you've done in your life? You don't know where you are. You just woke up one day and you're broke at 60. Like, you're in the fourth quarter. Like, I look at life as 4 quarters, because the average person is making it to roughly about 80 years old. So you got from 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80. And so you're in the fourth quarter and you wake up and you're just like, what's going on with my life? And it's because these people are never asking themselves questions. What do you want out of life? Not what do your parents want for you or your teachers or your friends, but what do you want out of life? You really have to sit there with yourself. And he says it right here in the book. Ask yourself, do you want a loving marriage? Do you want respect from your children? Do you want plenty of money or fast cars? You got to really ask yourself, what do I want out of this life? And then once you've done that, you have to ask yourself, like, why do you want these things? Because you can't just chase like fast cars or money if there's no reason behind it. You'll get burnt out doing that, or chasing anything in this life. There has to be a reason behind it. So next, after we've asked ourselves the questions about where we want to go in life and what we truly want, you need to focus on focusing. So he says, whatever we focus on becomes our idea or reality. He says, focus is not true reality because it's one view. It's the only one perception of the way things really are. When I'm reading this, you can actually see this outside. When people today, still 2025, and they see the world through a racist lens, or some people may view the world through a patriarchy lens, like, oh, men are running the world, they're in control of everything, or people that look at things through a racist lens, oh, this is only happening because I'm a certain race. Like, they are viewing the world through that certain lens, and that's not reality, but that is kind of reality to them. Understanding this, whatever you focus on grows. That becomes your reality. So when it comes to whatever you want to do in life, if you focus on this, that becomes your reality. Again, he says right here, focus determines whether you perceive your reality as good or bad, whether you feel happy or sad. Again, so if you're wondering, like, why does my life feel like it sucks? Like, why do I feel like I'm a failure in life? It's because you're focusing on the wrong things. You need to focus on where you want to go and not what you fear. If you resist the fear and have faith and focus on where you want to go, your actions will take you in that direction. And if it's possible to turn out, it will. But you stand no chance if you focus on the fear. So an example of this, it says, people who are afraid of driving, he says, what if we're going to crash? So he said, I don't want to drive because I feel like I'm going to crash. That just increases your odds of focusing on the negative all the time. Focusing on the solution is always to your benefit. Now, he does state that it's not guaranteed that just focusing on the positive, focusing on the solutions, it's not a guarantee that it's going to get you where you want to go, but it does increase your chances. It all goes back to asking questions. Like he says, the most powerful way to control your focus is through the use of questions. For whatever you ask, your brain provides the answers. Whatever you look for, you'll find if you ask. And it is kind of funny when you think about how powerful that is. If you see a sports car, let's just say you see a yellow sports car, and you're like, oh man, that looks really good. The next minute, your brain, without you even thinking about it, you'll just start noticing yellow things, another yellow car, or you'll drive past a house and it'll have like a yellow ornament in the front yard. Your brain is now focusing and looking for the yellow. And it's the same thing works with whatever you want in this life. If you want success, your brain will start looking for those things. If you're like, man, I want to start a business, but I don't know where to start, your brain will subconsciously start looking for those answers for you. He goes on to say that questions are such powerful tools for changing your life. They're one of the most powerful and simple ways to change the way you feel about virtually anything, and thus change the direction of your life in a moment's notice. It's so easy, but so powerful. Just asking yourself questions, and so many people don't do it today. It is so crazy to me when I watch those videos of people like, man, I woke up, I'm 50 years old, what happened? Or another one of those videos or types of videos, when you see like a motivational video, it'll be somebody's like, I'm 60 years old, what would I tell my 20-year-old self? That same person is just now waking up to life. He's just now, or she's just now asking themselves questions to be like, oh man, what would I tell myself if I was 20 years old? It's because they never asked themselves questions when they were 20. They're just running off of somebody else's programming, their parents or teachers or friends. And so now they've woken up in their old age and they're like, hey, what would I tell myself at a younger age? This is a person, again, who's never asked themselves questions. So now that we've went over when it comes to asking yourself questions and then focusing on what you want out of life, he goes over like how to change your physiology, like your brain. So that helps you even further ask yourself more questions and focus more on what you want to do in life. The key in life is to have so many ways to direct your life that it becomes an art. The challenge is for most people is they only have a few ways of changing their state. They overreact, they overdrink, they oversleep, they overshop, they smoke, they take drugs. None of this is empowering to you. None of this helps you achieve your goal. You have to be in a deterministic state in order to succeed. So again, instead of overeating, overdrinking, try breathing, meditation exercises, yoga, going through a walk through nature, working out, getting to bed early, drinking lots of water. All of these change your mind and your physiology, which just allows you to focus more on what you want out of life and ask yourself more questions. Again, all of these things just lead you to that higher self, and so you can succeed in life. If you can change the state of your brain, you immediately change the performance. You have to realize that you must consciously take control and run your own mind. You've got to do this deliberately. Otherwise, you're going to be at the mercy of whatever happens around you. Again, so many people are just going through life, just letting life happen to them. You have to take control, and you start by taking control of your own mind. I'm not going to let this take control of me. I'm not going to let this bother me. He goes on to say, it's not the events that shape your life that determine how you feel and act, but rather it's the way you interpret and evaluate events. Everything that happens to you, you can either perceive it in a good way, a optimistic way, a challenge, something to overcome, a lesson to learn, or you can just look at everything as bad or negative and things that are happening to you instead of for you. If you can switch how you think about a certain situation that you may be in, this is how, again, you can get to that success in life. He says the difference between people is the difference in the questions they ask themselves consistently. So if you see somebody on a certain level, they are just asking more questions and better questions frequently than somebody else. He says, remember, ask and you shall receive. If you ask terrible questions, you'll get terrible answers. Your mental computer is ever ready to serve you, and whatever question you give it, it will surely come up with an answer. He goes over how questions work as well. He says questions immediately change what we're focusing on, and therefore how we feel. He says there's a big difference between affirmations and questions. When you say, I'm happy all day, this might cause you to feel happy and produce enough emotional intensity to change your physiology and therefore your state. But in reality, what you should really be doing is saying, what am I happy about now? What could I be happy about if I wanted to be? If you keep asking questions like this, you'll come up with real references that will make you begin to focus on reasons that do in fact exist for you to feel happy. You'll feel certain that you are happy. Instead of just pumping you up, questions provide you with actual reasons to feel the emotion. You and I can change how we feel in an instant just by changing our focus. And you can change your focus again by just asking yourself more questions. And I do this all the time, and it's crazy. I'll do this in the shower when I get up in the morning. You know, you'll talk to yourself in the shower. I'll drive to work with playing no music, just asking myself questions. How are we doing? Where are we going? What the week is looking like. You know, some people may think you're kind of weird. It's probably not best to do this in public, asking yourself questions, talking to yourself out loud. But you should constantly be asking yourself questions. You know, whether that's in, the quiet place of your own house or going on a walk through the park or sitting next to some water or nature. Always ask yourself questions. Where am I going? What do I want? Where do I want to be in 5 years, 10 years? What does my life look like? Who do I want to be with? What does happiness look like for me? You'll be surprised of how powerful the brain is. It'll start giving you the answers to your own questions. So that's pretty much it when it comes to how to get whatever you want. You have to ask yourself questions. You have to get laser focused, and you have to change your physiology. Start working out, start drinking more water, eating better, getting more sleep, asking yourself questions over and over and over again, and your brain will give you the answers. It saddens me when I see those videos of those people. I'm 50 something years old and I'm broke. I don't know what happened. It's just like, how do you get to 50 and you don't know what happened? These people never ask themselves questions. So Don't be like that. Don't continue the programming that you have in you, or at least question it. Am I going where I want to go in life? Is this where I want to be in life? Ask yourself these questions. Hopefully this video helped a few people out. Hopefully you guys made it this far. If you did, hit that like and subscribe. And with that, I'll end it there and catch you guys in that next one. Peace.